Well, it's that time again.
What time is that?
It's time to get naked.
Like all the way naked?
Well, keep your clothes on, but it's time for the Naked Party Time podcast where we get real and raw about life, leadership, and love.
While having lots of fun along the way.
So what do you say? Are you ready to get naked?
Let's do it.
What if I told you there was a way you could be 3 times more likely to accomplish your plans in 2023? Well, as we approach the new year and many people are starting to think about their plans, that's what we want to talk about today in episode 45 of the Naked Party Time podcast called Merry Christmas and Happy Planning for the New Year. Welcome back, or welcome for the very first time. If you're watching on YouTube, hello to you guys there. My name is Jeff Manis, and I am joined, as always, by my planning pal, my Christmas compadre, my birthday babe, my wife and my podcast queen, Sabrina. How you doing, Sabrina? You got your birthday kazoo there, do you?
Oh, I should have put my hat on.
You should have. I thought about us wearing our hats, and we had our happy birthday glasses.
Holly came in here.
Yep.
Sorry, Hall.
Holly Jolly came in the picture here. It's officially Christmas week, and you had a birthday a couple of days ago. Can you believe we are almost to another new year?
No, I can't.
So it was this time last year we were down here to close on our house, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. We just passed the official 1-year mark for owning a home in Texas. We're supposed to get some colder weather this week, although lows in the 20s and 30s I'll take any day compared to below freezing temperatures and blizzard conditions in Cheyenne, which has been there recently. I am more convinced than ever that I am a warm weather soul. I'll take the scorching summers in order to have December days we could have gone to the beach, wouldn't you say?
Yes. I was thinking the other day how, like, I'm watching these Hallmark movies and the snow is so pretty, but I have to say I do not miss the cold.
I have not missed it at all.
And I don't like that it's going to be cold this week.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite mad about it because
We were supposed to have pictures.
No, we are having pictures on the
beach.
23rd, Jada's 16th birthday, on the beach. And we're going to have to pretend it's not freezing. And I thought we didn't have to do that anymore. For 22 years, we had to pretend for every family picture that we are warm.
It was minus 6 degrees the other day when I checked in Cheyenne. That's too cold.
Yeah. I think Mariah's wedding pictures in February probably beat out all of our family pictures because it was like 26 degrees with 30 to 40 mile per hour wind.
That was freezing.
And we were in sleeveless.
Yes.
Well, the girls were.
Yeah, I wasn't. I wasn't wearing sleeveless suit.
That would be weird. But
I could have wore just the vest.
Here we are in Texas where everybody says hot all year. Bunch of liars.
Yep. It's supposed to be getting down in the 20s this week.
I know. Everybody's panicking about their pipes. And if you're going on vacation, you got to empty your pipes out. And I'm like, where do we live? Yep. What the world?
Well, we didn't get a podcast done last month. Things have kind of got crazy for us. Just some things in life, things in the church. But we wanted to sit down and get back in the groove again by talking about planning for the new year. Every year about this time, we start planning for the new year, although we've not gotten around to it yet. Mm-hmm. Not even really thought about the new year, as you were saying before the podcast. Not really even thought about the new year.
No, I can only think about this week.
We have lots going on.
Yes, we do have lots going on. I can't think about next year yet.
If you do want to go back to episode 12 and 13, as well as episode 33, we do a deep dive into how you can plan for the new year. We give some very practical advice on planning, provide a template for how you can develop a plan for the new year. But I want to take a slightly different approach this time as we talk about making a plan. Now, just because you have a plan does not mean it will be accomplished. Mm-hmm. I get that. We ran into some of that this year. We'll talk about that here in a bit. In fact, in the Devo that we recorded for our online New Year's Day devotional at the harbor, the whole Devo was about focusing on where you're planted, not about what you have planned. Mm-hmm. That being planted is more important than having a plan. So a plan is not the most important thing in a new year. I acknowledge that. But if you're going to pursue a plan, and we think you should, there is something that appears to be the most important part of accomplishing it. And Sabrina, I know you're dying to hear what it is.
I am. I'm sitting on the edge of my chair.
Harvard Business Study found that 83% of people they surveyed had no stated plans or goals.
That's really high.
I thought that was very high as well. 14%, again, this was just the ones they studied.
Yeah.
But 14% of people had plans, but they had not written them down. Those people were fairly successful in accomplishing their plans. But this last one is the one I want to focus on. Only 3% of people who responded in the survey had written down their goals. And of those people, those 3%, the ones who wrote down their goals, they were 3 times more likely to succeed than the group who had just put them in their mind. So by simply having some goals and a plan that you put down in writing, you are 3 times more likely to succeed than those who just didn't write it down. That's huge.
Yeah, that is
Isn't
huge.
that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Just writing your plans down.
Well, I mean, anything you go to, like business-wise, I mean, I've heard that ever since I've, pursued entrepreneurship. Everybody's like, you have to write it down. You have to be able to see it. I have to write down everything I do anyway in my life, or I don't do anything.
Yep.
So it makes perfect sense to me.
So then there was a study done by the Dominican University of California that added a slightly different twist. They took a group of people and had them think about their goals and then rate them according to various factors, but not write it down. That group was 43% of that group had a success rate in achieving or progressing in their goals. Then they had another group do the same thing, do some intentional thinking about plans and goals, rate them, and write them down, but also share them with a friend and send their friend updates on their progress. That group had a 76% success rate in achieving their plans and goals.
Wow.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
When we know that, according to different surveys you might find, about 25% of people don't even make it through their first week of New Year's goals. 36% of people give up after a month. 54% give up after 3 months. And in one study I saw, only 8% of people actually achieved all their goals for the year.
Wow. I think life gets in the way.
Yeah. But I wonder, as we're talking about planning for the new year, how much of that would be different if we would write them down and update somebody along the way.
Well, yeah. I mean, accountability is huge.
Yep.
It makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Because you can let yourself down, but you don't want to let somebody else down.
Yeah. I've never thought about adding the accountability factor to New Year's goals. But that's what we're going to talk about a little bit here. So I want to challenge ourselves, and I want to challenge our listeners to set aside some time to reflect on your plans and goals for the new year. Write them down, share them with someone, and schedule some kind of follow-up with them throughout the year on how you're doing with your goals. Invite somebody into the process. Again, you might want to go back and listen to some of our previous episodes on annual planning, episodes 12 and 13, as well as episode 33. Before the new year arrives, carve out some time to sit down with a notebook or a tablet and write out some plans and goals for the new year. Listen to one of our previous podcasts, and then here are 4 principles today for setting plans and goals that might be helpful. Sabrina, you and I are getting ready to do this together for the new year. We've actually would have normally done this a lot sooner. We're pretty late in doing ours. Normally we would have gone away overnight by now to do this, carve out several hours or even a day to sit down together, but we haven't been able to do that yet. But even you said today we should make our date night this week doing that.
Yeah.
So we need to do it. Can't put it off. Now we're podcasting about it, so we have accountability.
Because the new year is coming.
Yeah,
we are running out of time.
Yes, we are. So, Sabrina, what's the first principle we want to mention here?
Be real about where you are.
Be real about where you are.
Is that the app, Be Real?
No, it's not.
It goes along with this.
It does, yeah. You can't make a plan for where you want to go without first being real about where you are.
That's good.
Think about getting directions on the Maps app. Like when you open up Maps and type in an address, it can show you where that address is. But it cannot tell you how to get there until you acknowledge where you're at. Mm-hmm. If you're in Houston, and you want directions to Dallas, but you tell Maps that you're in Denver, you're going to have some issues.
This is true.
With those directions, right? You got to be real about where you are. And I think we struggle with this sometimes. Like, here's an example, and I think it will lead into the second principle that we'll get to. Let's say you're entering the new year and one of your goals is a financial goal, which, by the way, we think when you set goals, you should set some in 5 specific categories: spiritual, relational, physical, financial, and professional if you are involved in a career of some kind. Okay. So let's say you have a financial goal to save $10,000 for a car. It's a great goal. But if you don't currently have any savings and you've generally struggled to set aside money for anything, you may not be being real about where you're at.
I think this could be one of our kids right here.
It could be. Maybe they should listen.
Yeah, maybe they should.
It's awfully hard to go from saving nothing to saving $10,000 in a year.
Yeah.
By starting with being real about where you are, it literally goes hand in hand with the second principle that I think many of us struggle with. So, Sabrina, what's the second principle in goal setting and making plans?
Be realistic about where you're going.
So be real about where you are, but then also be realistic about where you're going. When you're not real about where you are, it's easy then to be unrealistic in where you're going. And I think that's why we so often give up on our goals so soon. So go back to our financial example, and here's how these two principles play out together. If I'm first honest about where I'm at, I have no savings, and I don't normally set aside money when I get paid, I still might need to save for a car. That's a great goal. But I can start with a more realistic goal, such as I will save $50 every paycheck and put it into a separate savings account. That make sense?
Yeah, that's good.
So maybe you start with a 3-month goal of I will save $50 every paycheck for the first 3 months of the year. And then after that, you're starting to develop your savings muscle. And when you sit down for a quarterly review or you're updating your accountability partner that we're encouraging, you can move it up. I'll save $100 a paycheck or $150 a paycheck or whatever it is. And before you know it, you'll be on your way to saving for that $10,000 car.
Yeah.
I struggle with this a lot. Setting goals that aren't realistic. I start getting dreams or having vision for something new. And it's super easy for me to skip step 1, being real about where I am, and overshooting step 2, being realistic about where I'm going. This happened for us specifically when it came to saving for retirement. Several years ago now, we were very challenged to get serious about saving for our retirement, whether it was listening to Dave Ramsey or our very good friend Joe Sangl from I Was Broke, Now I'm Not.
He's our favorite.
Yeah, he is. But we knew we need to get serious about retirement. We weren't serious about it at all. At the time, in fact, we were challenged by this. We were putting nothing towards retirement, which is not wise, by the way.
It is hard, though, to see that many years into the future.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so we knew we should start. And so I set unrealistic goals that we kept failing at trying to meet. We had the goal because Dave Ramsey talks about it and Joe Sangl talks about it of, the desired place to be is to put 15% of your income in retirement. And so I'd make a goal of, man, we're going to give 15% of our income to retirement.
It's a small percentage, but it is a lot of money.
It is. But when you're at 0 and you're trying to go to 15.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
That's not very easy to do. So if we would have been real about where we were, it would have been easier to be realistic about where we were going. It wasn't until we made the goal, we literally finally said, we got to put this in a teeny tiny steps. It wasn't until we made the goal to set aside 1% of our income that we started actually accomplishing it. And then our goal became to add a percentage as we moved along. Otherwise, I don't think we would have ever started making progress had we not started at a very, very, very small step.
Yeah, that was, you could see that easier.
Yep.
And it wasn't like,
it wasn't this daunting task.
Yeah.
So where have you seen that, or have you seen that in other places in your life or in people's lives?
Well, if we listened to the podcast a few months ago, my biggest struggle is working out.
Yep.
Why do we have to do it? Come on, Jesus.
It'd be way easier to stay in bed.
I know. I love my bed. It's such a safe, cozy place.
Yeah.
But I have been thinking about what I'm going to do next year because I did not meet my goal this year. I didn't fail completely, but so I've already talked to Michaela.
Oh.
I don't know if you follow our daughter Michaela, but she has completely transformed her habits and her body since August of 2021. So it was just a year this year. With working out and taking care of herself. That girl it is rare if she misses a day at the gym. She'll go at 9:00 at night, which I did that. I have had many seasons of my life where I could only work out after bedtime.
I remember that. You'd go after I was in bed.
Yes, but I always had someone to go with me. And I walk with Kate twice a week now, but I don't really do much than walk 3 or 4 times a week. And I know I really need to lift weights. I've added in stretching, so like baby steps. Yeah. I think you just have to start small.
Start small.
So I know I don't want to do any other cardio than walk. So I'm just going to stick to walking because I feel like walking is good enough.
That works.
I'm not going to try to compare myself and be somebody I'm not. So I like walking, but I do want to start lifting weights. So I'm going to sit down and talk with Michaela and see what that looks like. And I've asked her not to hurt me. I'm scared. I am. That's a fear I have. I'm scared of how bad it's going to hurt and how sore I'm going to be.
It's been a while since you've done any weightlifting.
Yes,
so you're going to be sore.
Since 2019, if we're being honest here. So I love lifting weights. I love the muscle definition I have seen in the past, but it hurts and takes a lot of work. So Michaela is doing something different with her job, and so she's going to be around more. And so we will see what happens next year. But I'm going to start small, and I'm not going to beat myself up. And if I miss a day or whatever I set up, it's going to be okay.
Yep.
And I think probably working out is exercise is like the one goal most people make every single year. Because we all know it, well, especially coming off of this eating season. Like I asked Jesus today if I could have a piece of whatever somebody brought us at church today. And I'm like, it's calling my name, Jesus. Can I just have one? And so I just know I'm weak with sugar and it's bad for you and I just need to do better. So like, I feel like everything is a work in progress. All areas of our life are a work in progress. So instead of staying stuck or beating yourself up, just got to try better tomorrow.
And some people, I think, struggle with that. So the working out one, you're going from not doing much and they say, I'm going to work out 7 days a week.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's not realistic.
You won't stick with that.
Or you need to lose 100 pounds. And so you make that your goal. I'm going to lose 100 pounds this year. Start with 5 pounds.
Yeah. And everybody's different, but it seems like smaller goals would work better for everybody in a sense, because then you feel like you're accomplishing something.
And then you set the next one.
Yeah.
So think of it in smaller increments.
Yeah.
Instead of overwhelming yourself with something that's not realistic.
Right.
And this is true in organizations as well. Like as leaders in organizations, we can really struggle with this. I know, again, as a leader, I struggle with this. In our zeal, specifically in our Christian faith and in the church, in our zeal for the gospel, we can set unrealistic goals and plans without first being real about where we are.
Yeah.
Like a church might say, we want to see 500 people get baptized this year, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. That would be amazing for a church to see 500 people get baptized. But if you normally see 50 a year or 5 a year, that's not very realistic.
Right.
Could God do it? 100%. He baptized way more than that on the day of Pentecost. But, oftentimes we set unrealistic goals. Or I'll sometimes see churches have salvation goals, which I'm okay with that they're praying for a certain number of salvations. But a lot of times their salvation goals are higher than their average attendance.
Oh.
That's not very realistic.
Yeah.
Again, amazing if it would happen, and we would pray for that. But it's not a realistic goal to pursue. And we should have lofty goals in our churches. Please don't hear me say that we shouldn't. If there's any place we should have God-sized goals and vision, it's inside the church. But the more we set goals that are not based on a real evaluation of where we are and a realistic expectation of what can be done, we set ourselves up for disappointment and failure.
Right. And if you do have a lofty goal, can't you work backwards to see what, like, take the 500 baptisms?
What would it take for us to get there?
Yeah. Like, what kind of discipleship do we have to do? How
great.
is our small groups looking? Yeah. What are our ministries?
How many
are we
salvations
focused?
do we need to see in a year to have that happen?
Yeah. Like, so you can have those God-sized goals, but you just have to work backwards with somebody that can help you see maybe what you're missing.
Yep. Or going back to the weight loss thing, or even the workout thing. I want to work out 7 days a week, which probably isn't healthy anyway. Let's say 6. I want to work out 6 days a week with 1 day of rest. Okay. If you're starting from 0, work backwards.
Yeah.
Like start with 3 days a week so that you get yourself into a routine.
Because sometimes even 3 days a week can be a challenge because you can't control and predict what your week looks like all the time.
And then add a 4th day or a 5th day. Or if you're doing a weight loss goal, I want to lose 50 pounds. We'll start with 5. Mm-hmm. And when you get to 5, maybe make it 10. And then make it 20. And before you know it, you've reached 50 pounds.
Yeah.
But like you said, work yourself backwards into smaller bite-sized chunks. So be real about where you are, which is huge. Be realistic about where you're going. And then you may want to invite some feedback into those first 2 things, right? Ask someone you trust who knows you well if your assessment is accurate and your goals are attainable. Then what's the 3rd step, Sabrina?
Be reasonable with yourself and the process.
Yeah, you mentioned this a second ago. Be reasonable with yourself in the process. This is hard for an Enneagram 1 like me who has a very loud inner critic. But this is such an important step. Mm-hmm. I think this is another place where people give up very easily. Even if you do the first 2 steps really well, this one can trip you up. You might be real about where you are and realistic in setting goals, but the moment you don't start living it out, you can very easily give up on it altogether. So can I give some advice that I need to listen to myself? Be reasonable with yourself. So you went to dinner and the movies 1 paycheck instead of saving the $100 for the car. Okay. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start again the next paycheck. Yeah. Right? You went a week without working out. Start again this week. Don't give up. I think sometimes we get unreasonable with our own shortcomings.
Yeah.
And it derails our entire pursuit of the goals that we had.
Well, I think we play the comparison trap because we scroll endlessly on social media and see
everybody else's highlight reel.
Yes. Like I totally, I did this the other day. I'm following some people that I have no idea who they are because I was trying to win some things on Instagram because, I just want to win something. I think it'd be so fun. So I'm like, you have to follow certain people and slide the bar to get into these contests. And so I'm following all these women influencers. I don't know anything about them. I'm going to unfollow them as soon as I realize I'm not going to win anything. But I'm like, why do they all look so perfect? Their houses look perfect. Their bodies look perfect. They all have babies. I'm like, they just make it look effortless. But I know it's not real. Yeah. It's their highlight reel. It's their job. Yep. They know how to use their filters. I'm not saying they're hiding really the way they look. But I'm just saying we can get trapped in that because even I can get trapped in that. And then everything in your home or your life starts to look horrible and it's not the truth.
Yep. So this is why it's important that we be realistic with our goals, because even with realistic goals, I'm going to mess up along the way.
Yeah.
And it's much easier to jump back into the pursuit of something realistic than it is to jump back into the pursuit of something that's not realistic. Again, going back to the example we started with, if my goal is to save $10,000 for a car, it doesn't take many missed paychecks where I don't save, and that goal is quickly unattainable.
Yeah, might as well just give up.
Yeah. But if my goal is to save $100 a paycheck,
yeah,
I can, if I mess up, and I'm going to, I miss a paycheck because I mismanaged some money, which I'm going to, I can start again with the next one.
Yeah.
I can get picked back up really quickly. Even if you get to the end of the year, be reasonable with yourself. Like you did, I pulled up my 2022 goals to look at. Didn't do a great job this year. As we get ready to review our 2022 goals and then plan for 2023, there's a number of things we had planned to do that we didn't do for a number of different reasons.
Yeah.
It could be very easy for us to look at our unmet goals and just be discouraged to set anything new for the new year. But I'd much rather have unmet goals that I'm pursuing than have no goals at all. Mm-hmm. I want to pursue something than just hope something happens.
Yeah.
We had a goal, one of our goals, it's an annual goal for us. One of our goals is to get away overnight together once per quarter without our kids. We only got 3 of the 4 quarters. Mm-hmm. Right?
Well, because usually the 4th quarter, I think, is...
That's when we get away for our planning.
Yeah, and
we didn't do it.
We can't fit it in this year. We had a few car troubles.
Yep.
A little drama there.
2 of our getaways, so 3 of the 4 we did. 2 of the 3 that we did we got away for an entire week.
Yeah.
Now, if we didn't have a goal at all to get away once per quarter, we may not have gotten away at all.
Yeah, it does help keep you on track of what you want your life to look like.
Yes.
So then, like, you probably can see I made some marks in our note because a couple of Sabbaths ago, I wanted to just kind of see where we were at. And so I spent some time looking through there and checking off what we've done or putting an X by ones I knew we weren't going to complete this year. But the good news is we can just move them to the next year and try again.
Yep.
It's not life or death. Like whatever we didn't accomplish will be, let's try again next year. Yep. Or maybe it's not even
correct
who you are anymore. Yes. And so now you see that.
We've seen some of that as we reviewed our goals and our bucket list. There's been things we said, that's not even something we want to try anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's why this, I think, is so important. This does help you take an honest look at your life and figure out what you want to pursue in life. I had a goal this year. I thought we were going to do it. I came into the year with fully anticipating to write my 2nd children's Christmas book. Turns out the spiritual, emotional, relational, and mental energy this transition required of us was much more than I anticipated.
Yeah.
I just didn't have any space or motivation to do it. And that's okay. Maybe I'll try again next year.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll never write it. It'll just be in my brain forever.
Oh, no, I want you to write it. You got 2 more in your brain.
I know.
I've been waiting 25 years.
We got 1.
I know, but I want the other 2.
Okay. All right. So be real about where you are. Be realistic about where you're going. Be reasonable with yourself. And what's the last one, Sabrina?
Be relational in your accountability.
Be relational in your accountability. This goes back to that study I cited earlier and how much more successful people were with their goals when they told someone about them and updated them regularly on the progress. If you're married, you might choose your spouse as that person. You don't have to. You should probably tell your spouse what your goals are, but they don't have to be the accountability.
Yeah.
We do share our personal goals with each other, but we don't do a great job of staying updated on the progress. Mm-mm. That's been one place, even the last couple of years, we've said it and then we don't do it very well, is kind of doing a review on where we're at, holding each other accountable. It might do us both good to bring someone else into the process. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I don't.
You don't look too thrilled about that prospect.
I'm like, that is, it's just another level of.
Yeah. But you could share them with Donna or Kate.
Yeah.
I could share them with Todd.
Well, I'm not saying I don't want to share them, but I'm like, man, that means I have to stick to them. Because unlike an Enneagram 1, Enneagram 9, I'm like, what? No big deal. I'll
just check it off, right?
Yeah, I don't have to do it to say it's completed. So I'm like, But if I ask an Enneagram 1 to stay on top of me, they'll stay on top of me. And I'm not sure I want that, if I'm being honest.
Yep. So as we approach the new year, I would challenge you to take some time and write down your plans and goals. Just writing them down.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
Increases your odds of accomplishing them by 3 times as much as someone who doesn't write them down. That's a pretty big number.
Mm-hmm.
When you write them down, start by being real about where you are. Be realistic about where you're going. Be reasonable with yourself in the process. And be relational in your accountability. And we'll have to figure out how that accountability piece will look for us. But I thought that was interesting. The success rate of those who sought accountability.
Yeah. I don't think I like it.
I know. I can see it in your face. So look at all that. All R's.
Good job.
Yeah. All 4 principles started with R. Didn't even have to try.
I
Just
know.
happened. It's one of my annual goals. Make things.
You are just specially gifted.
Anything else you want to add or ask or say, Sabrina?
No, I can't stop thinking about this accountability piece.
Yep. Now I'm going to hold you to that.
I'm going to have to make my goals super easy.
Wake up every day.
I did it.
So that's all we have for this episode. The next podcast will be in 2023. We're trying to do one a year. That'd be an easy goal. One podcast a year. One a month is what we're trying. We only missed 1 month this year.
Yeah, November.
Yep. November got away from us. So we'll try to do one a month starting in 2023. If you have any ideas for podcasts, we'd love to hear them. We may not be able to do it, but we're always looking for ideas. I'm always struggling to figure out what should we do the next podcast on. You never offer any ideas, so maybe that could be a goal for you. Offer some ideas.
No, I'm not an idea person.
I think a goal should be for you to write a podcast.
No.
And lead it.
No, because you would hate that.
I would not.
Oh, my word. Yes, you would.
We should do I haven't already have an idea of what we could do a podcast on that you could lead.
No.
You know what it is, too.
I do not, and I don't want to do that.
It's one of my goals. You have to hold me accountable.
I'm not holding you accountable to that.
If you do have an idea or questions that you'd like us to answer, please let us know. It makes our podcast way easier if people help us out with that. You can email us your ideas or your questions. Email my assistant at hello@jeffmanis.com. She'll make sure I get them, and we'll make sure and answer them if we can. Right?
No guarantees.
No guarantees, but we do like the ideas. I like hearing from people. Follow us on all of our social media channels. Jeff G. Manis on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Sabrina.Manis on all the places as well. You can find her there. Subscribe to the podcast, like it, rate it, review it, share it with all your friends. That would help us out greatly. So Sabrina, why don't we end, as we always do, with our marriage mission. We are
united in Christ, unstoppable with Christ, and unbreakable because of Christ.
Now it's time for you to go get naked
and partay.
We'll see you on the other side. You've been listening to the Naked Party Time podcast. Join us next time as we get real and raw about life, leadership, and love.